So since we've got some examples in studio today, let's talk a little bit about some of these clubs we have here, and I'll kind of lead it off. Obviously, I've got my clubs here. I brought 2 samples in.
Can't hide money.
Yeah, well, you know. So let's talk a little bit about why we have, and in fact, I think this goes to the process of your fitter working with your club builder.
Yeah.
And why it's important. My first club here is a Titleist 681, old school blade style head from 2000, and I've got a Mitsubishi Chemical MMT 125 TX shaft in there.
Right.
This is what I was playing when I started working here at Loggerhead.
Yep.
And then working with the other fitters here and myself as well too, kind of taking input from what I had learned with playing the 681s, I decided I wanted to make some changes in my set makeup.
Mm-hmm. Some conforming changes.
Well, that is one too.
But it proves sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. These old heads, some of them work.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the 681s.
Yeah.
And they still get played. These are my playing fun rounds of golf kind of golf clubs, or if I'm playing a golf tournament where there aren't conforming groove rules. Mm-hmm. But some of the golf tournaments I play in do have conforming groove rules, which is what prompted the second set with going with the Muras here.
That, and I said I'd never pull them apart again.
Well, sure, whatever. We might when Axiom comes out. But anyway, some of the things I had noticed with the 125 TX is the reason why I tried those is I'd always played X100. Dynamic Gold X100. I played it for 20 years and still love that shaft. So I wanted to replace that with something a little soft, a little better feeling with graphite and essentially the same thing. And then with playing in some golf tournaments, schedules are a little different. We're traveling. Sometimes you don't sleep as well in a hotel. Your body doesn't feel as well. I was like, I want something a little bit easier to swing, a little lighter. Yeah. So I worked with Nikki, Kyle to kind of pick out a different shaft here, and let's explain what this shaft is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you went from obviously a 125 gram MMT, metal mesh technology. Easy transition off of the X100s for you because it's kind of the same load feel, but in this was the shaft that broke me away from steel personally. Absolutely. Because the tip was so much stronger than an X100, and I didn't want to swing 130-some gram shafts. I went with the 105, which the true weight was 118. These stay at 125. The Acura you picked, you were able to lose some weight with it still with the very aggressive tipping we put on it.
We lost a little curb weight. We went down in overall total build weight.
Yeah, but total build weight, not swing weight.
Right.
We kept the swing weight the same, but that's something that, saves your fatigue, your back, through the day. And, we picked a shaft. They picked it for you. It's got a little bit more. You don't have to use your extra gear.
Right.
It's going to work for you. It's a little more comfortable, and that's a good thing. And that's something if you take your ego out of it, I think sometimes, especially I took my ego out a lot with this. Is like I can swing hard if I want to, but a lot of people think it's a badge of honor to have like TX or X stiff on their stuff when the new composites are so good. Right. You're not losing any dispersion by dropping down. I went with Stiff Flex this year in an 85 gram. I'm getting old.
So you can gain back a little bit of speed.
I gained speed out of it.
What really sold me on these was kind of the uniqueness of them with them being parallel. Yeah. Parallel tipped. We had a little more tip section to play with.
Right, where you can fractionally tip a 355. They're not
maybe a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, maybe. But these are kind of it's how creative you want to get with them. Right. I love the 370 platform because you can literally incrementally cut quarter inches till you get an exact CPM or feel the player wants. There's a gentleman that we work with who's on the South American tour right now that I still have it in my head. His driver has to be 297 CPM on the dot, and he has to see it because it's a mental thing for him. Right. And you remember specs like that. You have guys that need half a degree difference. They want a 60 and a half, not a 60. Yeah. But I love the 370 because for you, we could tailor it to your exact needs.
So what did we do in the tipping in these?
The tipping those, they have multiple packages through Acura. We did their more aggressive. It puts it in the extra stiff spectrum, but it really, with the way those tip systems are designed, it firms it up. It makes it feel real boardy down low. Yeah. which is good for you because, like I say, you activate the legs. You like to activate those legs. You got that quick swing down there.
Them legs.
Well, I think the one thing to hit on, too, for those watching on YouTube is you can see where club building may have changed from 20 years ago. Everybody here, even though we have aggressive swings, some of us have tour swing speed, some of us don't, but all these golf clubs have graphite.
Right.
And from a club building perspective, that does change a lot.
And that's why, Kyle, I'm trying to beat in the new word. Like graphite has that old connotation.
Whippy,
light. Whippy, it's light.
Sounds like
I'm
your
not
granddad's golf
old.
clubs.
I'm not old. I'm not slow. I like using the word composite. It's the same thing like the terms we used forever, like ladies flex, light flex.
Yeah.
It's light flex, senior flex, it's soft regular. What do we need to optimize our performance? Not is our ego getting hurt by what's on our shaft?
Right.
So I was going to say my club build here, it's a Callaway Apex MB, UST Recoil 125 Proto, swing weight D5, heavy,
Yep.
DJ's worst nightmare. I actually went to this build for performance reasons. Caleb alluded to something, to where, if your body's not feeling right. I went to it as every clubs now have gotten stronger. Ball doesn't spin as much. I've noticed that my spin and launch has just gotten so low.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to playing a blade to help get the right spin and launch conditions, but I didn't want to have the vibrations.
Right.
That I would get out of a X100, which is what I've always played.
Which is big in the injury category too.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, immediately all we did is now with the new composite shafts, we can match weight. Weight is king.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool, 125 Protos. Like the feel is the exact same, except my blade literally feels like a game improvement iron.
And honestly, it
just feels amazing.
With the lack of kind of, movement, twisting in the head on mishits down there, you're adding a forgiveness cheat code by going composite. But then at the same time, steel was always limited. Flight and strength is going to be dictated by weight. Right. If you got a 130 gram stiff and you got a 85 gram stiff, you don't have the same animal. And if you want a low ball flight but don't want to carry around a boat anchor in your bag, tough. You're in. That's steel. That's steel for you. And composite is just completely broken down all the old school rules. You can literally, the fitter's unchained, the builder's unchained. I can make some amazing stuff now.
Yeah, and I've said before too with modern composite shafts.
There you go.
They, to me, describing the feel, because we're always worried. Well, the last time you probably ever swung anything that had a graphite shaft in it, it might have been like your granddad's old iron or something, and it had just a lightweight, whippy fiberglass shaft, maybe even. The modern graphite shafts, especially these kind of higher end shafts, they make bad shots feel better and good shots feel better as well too.
Oh, absolutely.
It just makes everything
feel good.
Feel better.
And it's fun watching the naysayers or like the good players that was like, I play steel.
Yeah.
You hand them one of these and you watch their eyes start lighting up as everything's more consistent, feels better. Like you said, bad shots feel better. Good shots feel better.
Yeah.
It's just it's fun watching people finally awaken to this stuff.
Well, I feel like I'm the anomaly. Is the reason I actually went to graphite, aside from a little bit of injury, is I thought for the rest of my life I was going to play rifle 6.5.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it in every set of golf clubs. I love the feel, love the weight, wasn't too heavy, really stable. With the way I swing a golf club, I launch the ball high.
Yeah.
Really high. With this MMT 125 TX that we built, I play the I-230. It actually brought my ball flight down and my spin rate down to the numbers that I need it to. So even though I'm making the same swing, I gain performance not because of lofts, because my clubs are actually 2 degrees weak. I gain it because I'm actually hitting the right launch angle and window.
So you're saying shafts matter?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. There's manufacturers out there trying to say shafts don't matter. Everyone.
Thanks, Callaway.
Yeah, I wasn't going to name them.
Whoa.
I'm the guy who was going to get canceled today. I've been on my best behavior. And you
Don't care.
And I think, it goes back to what they were just hitting on is whether people like them or not, Bryson DeChambeau has broken the club industry in the sense of you've got a guy swinging faster, playing good golf.
Swinging faster than anybody.
And he's able to hit his trajectories, spin rates, and launch angles. And honestly, when he was I'm not going to call it a prime because that's a word that's overused, but when he was in that stretch of really good golf, he didn't miss a lot of greens. His dispersion was great. He couldn't find that with steel, but with graphite being able to be manufactured so tight, you can have a graphite shaft that is stiffer than steel, period.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And like with the MMT, it's actually two materials in one. There's a metal mesh fiber woven into the graphite. So even though there is graphite here, and it's mostly graphite, there's other materials. You can see in the tip section of this Acura.
There's weaves.
It's a different woven section there that makes it much more stable.
And they can build these to perfect tolerances where steel's always going to be a little off.
I was gonna bring that up to kind of wrap things up, because how often do you see, everyone thinks just because the sticker on their steel iron shafts say 95 grams.
Yeah.
DJ, how often are all those shafts 95 grams?
How much variance is there in that?
There's a huge variance, because even, to little, the Tor, your Gold Dynamic stuff, that's
Tor
supposed to
issue,
be Tor issue, it's perfect. It can still be outside of a gram.
It's a matched set.
It's a matched set.
That's why that's why it's an upcharge.
It's the same. It's an upcharge because they're making you something that's actually what they're representing it is.
But what about a regular X100?
Oh, you have different planets.
Yeah,
I'll say it's supposed to be 125 to 128 grams. You could have 110 gram steel shaft.
Especially when you're going through, and that's why stuff like the Elevate series got traction. They're basically just trying to make every shaft stagger properly. But you take a set of 370s, they're all weighed out, and I'm gonna tip them. I gotta cut 4 inches off the tip to make a pitching wedge. Then I'm gonna butt trim it, and all of a sudden it's like I got no metal left. How much does that weigh?
I was saying, for those that didn't know, like a Dynamic Gold S300 and S400, what's the difference? The
S400, they whoopsied.
Yeah, the S400 is a whoopsie. It's a reject.
It's a whoopsie. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't know, because a big thing now is with the sets is we're getting wedge-specific shafts.
Yeah.
For the longest time, they took, what was the wedge shaft in your Voki? It was the trash shaft that didn't pass any spec.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another big part of shafting, being specific in your game.
I think the coolest thing about the modern composite shafts is just how much customization, so to speak, the manufacturers have. They can build a shaft
even like
to do whatever they want it to do.
Driver shafts, not only performance, but you can make it whatever color you want.
Yeah, you can customize it.
Customizing, and that's really the next step in the game. Tech has come so far, but we all like being individuals on the golf course, It's the only time I've been laughed at because I'm picking out an outfit the night before I'm going to go play with a bunch of guys. Make sure the belt matches the shoes and stuff.
Or if you're Kyle, you match everything to your golf clubs.
Everything. Yeah. He's so pretty.
Kyle's always going to look good showing up to the first tee.
A lot of pink.
A lot of pink for a good reason.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, DJ, one last question. What's your favorite build so far?
Favorite build.
Doesn't have to be ours.
Yeah,
I was going to say, it actually isn't your build. My favorite build, because of how it came about and how it ended, I did a set of EPONs for a customer.
Yeah.
He came in, and it really proves to why I tell my boys, treat every customer like they know, like they're Tiger Woods, like they have a tour van to check behind you. Because when you say they're not good enough to notice, they might be.
Yeah.
And someone might stumble upon it and check your work. So
it doesn't matter.
So he got a really nice set of EPONs built for him. They were built very incorrectly, we'll say. I just let him know. He just asked me to spec them out, and I wrote them out on a spec sheet. And so he turned around and said, only you, I want you to build these. And I was like, cool. I hadn't dealt with EPON. We got the EPON heads in. He did some nice recoil upgrade shafts, custom ferrules that were a one-off that he had to wait, I think, 6 months to get those ferrules back in. To the tune, it was like a $6,000 iron build. But getting them right, and we took him over to the bay afterwards, and he hit like two. He's like, oh man, this is how I want him to feel, and he instantly handed me one.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you haven't even hit that one yet.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you got to feel this. You did such a good job. So I got to hit his 7-iron before he ever hit it, which was crazy to me. I think it's a jinx, but it was an honor.
That's what he wanted to do.
Hey, that's his prerogative. But that was probably the most standout build I've had in the last couple of years.
That's pretty awesome.